And here we finally are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Rift Entertainment's broadcast of the Elite Series 2nd Division Finals of the Spring Split, of course. Now, tonight is not only a very special occasion because we are broadcasting and watching the big finals, but we have something very special in store for you, which I'm going to reveal right now, as I not only invite one, but two co-casters to my side. Welcome, Fresh Tana and QG.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello, it's a pleasure to have both of you guys at once here. I'm really hyped to be casting those matches with both of you guys and your wonderful insight that you'll be giving us. Now, I don't think anyone really needs an introduction of the teams, but let's still recap what's happened up to now in this bracket. Now, the top 4 teams of the split went to compete against each other last week and this week with a strong start of AOMA Esports, which 3-0'd Rift Sloths towards the loser semi-final bracket. On the other hand, we had Reapers Gaming, which also with a 3-0 decided to boot Dynasty off the competition for this split. Now, in tantalizing semifinals, Reapers Gaming were able to 3-1 against Rift Slavs, qualifying themselves for the big finals against AOMA Esports. It's a true underdog story from Reapers Gaming, which came in with the qualifiers as a completely unknown team to this division, and in the end are competing for the first place. But
That's true.
Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting game because I think the Reaper story and the AOMA story is while Reapers just went through the lower bracket into the finals. The game on Wednesday against the Rift Sloth was, in my opinion, amazing. It was very well played, and I think the Cannon will be a pick or ban from both of the teams. He played a really big a point, in my opinion, on the draft, and also in the game. He had 100% pick or win rate actually, and he was banned once. But I really think for Reapers, the Cannon will be the point here.
Yes, absolutely. And we know that AOMA will be starting blue side, meaning they have first pick. So it is a risk of leaving it open for Reapers because AOMA could pick it up. It is generally a very strong champion that can have a big impact in team fights, as we saw on Wednesday. So I definitely think Kennen is going to be the champion of this whole playoff, starting the semifinals. But we'll have to see. Before we go to the game, we have quite a few things to show you because we once again have a head-to-head of the statistics of AOMA versus Reapers Gaming, which we are going to show to you. And after those, we'll be going over each players individually. Now, we can see on the left side, AOMA, they do seem to be the favorites going into this. I mean, they had a very strong split, but to be fair, Reapers, they had this sort of climb overall, and I think currently in the playoffs they are much better than in the split. I don't know what you guys are thinking about this.
Yeah, definitely. And I especially think that Reapers just got better and better how long they played together. And especially we saw in the playoffs that they had a running system, and they just figured out how they want to play as a team. Mostly they played the same draft over and over again. But in the end, if you win with that, sure, just go for it. And I think because of that, because they have this running system, they are looking much more stronger than the stats are showing right now. Because right now you would say it's a clear favorite with AOMA. And I do need to say that they look really, really strong, especially if you think about that they beat Rift Sloths 3-0, while Reapers at least gave away 1 win. But I think it's not that clear just from stat-wise.
course, you can't always just look at the stats because, especially in a best of 5 situation, the mental is also key and a very important part. And I think, QT, you can tell us a bit about the mental in such a BO5.
Yeah, especially in the finals. I think when I played some back in the day, some finals in early stages of league, it's just the pressure that comes first. Well, you secured your second place, so you're second anyway, but you don't want to be the first loser, right? So if you lose the first game, the mental is really down. Maybe we tried something, it didn't work out, we can go do it better next game. But if you win the first and the second game, you can you have the safety of, okay, if we lose, it's not that bad, we can still recover, we just need one more win to actually take the trophy home. But it's really that, and you just have to think, and it's really hard at that point because you play, some stuff doesn't work out as you want, but you have to stay focused and just concentrate on the next game. If the early game doesn't go well and you lose everything, and then you lose more fights, more objectives, and then you lose Baron, and you get run over, you have to think, okay, we have a second game, we can fix what we made wrong in the first game. Maybe it was pick and ban phase, maybe it was our early game, our early plan didn't work out, maybe now we take plan B. It's really important to have that thought. Well, Reapers, they had only 2 days to prepare, from Wednesday, yesterday, and today. So 3 days, yesterday and today. And AOMA, they had more preparation time, but they didn't know who they were facing. So they could actually see one more game of Reapers than the Reapers saw a game of AOMA. And I think that is also a big point for analytics, and also you have to know your enemy to beat him.
Yeah. So there's the mental, there's the whole preparation process going on, this iteration over games where you can adapt and eventually overcome your foe, and all of that, it's always pulled through by a team effort. This is where the whole team shines most, but of course you cannot set aside individual players and how they influence the game as early as the early game in their lane. So let's take a look at each laners individually, starting at the top lane with Mac for AOMA Esports and Wind for Reapers Gaming. I'll leave that up to you, Prashtana.
Yeah, I think the Wind definitely is the one of the star and key players of Reapers. So he looks so strong in every single lane he played so far. This champion pool is really, really big, and we saw a lot of Cannon. He's just crazy on us. Olaf, who's probably being banned, and now of course he has all those other split pushers and bruisers. So I really like Wind for his play style. But I think Mark on the flip side, and we see it with the stats, with the KDA, kind of a little bit more safe. He plays a lot of those with the Sejuani if he needs to, with the Shen, so a little bit more supportive. But I remember one game where he played with Fiora against Vine's Olaf, and where they actually beat them, and I think Mark even got the MVP for this game. So Mark is definitely a strong player too. I think it's a small advantage on top lane for Reapers, but definitely 2 amazing top laners here in the final.
Yes, and it doesn't stop there, because next up is a very important role in any situation, the jungle role, which has an impact over the whole team, over the whole map. And there we also have some tremendous players on both sides. We have Gabush playing for AOMA Esports and Trinket playing for Reapers Gaming. And the consensus was lately Trinket being a very good player. I know on Wednesday he had an incredible impact over the games that they played. A very strong player, but you cannot underestimate Gabush as well, because throughout the split he was able to go up headstrong against any other jungler, especially with that terrifying Wukong pick that you can see, 46% pick rate, which is quite a lot. That's almost half the matches, and he always had really, really strong games with him. And we can see that from the most played champions, they already have a rather similar champion pool, so we might have a few contested picks here, notably the Zac, which was also always banned on Wednesday by the Rift Sloths. Now, going through to the middle lane, we also have two very important players. We have Lotus on sides of AOMA Esports and Lolo for Reapers Gaming. QG, I'll leave those to you.
Yeah, I think this will be the focus of the match today, and you see that Lolo, he's one of the carries of the Reapers. If he plays well, you saw that on Wednesday and last week. If he plays well, he just steamrolls the game. His Tristana pick that Lotus is also playing on Wednesday was crucial to against the Cannon. So maybe if you have that in mind, you don't need to ban that one. But if you see but yeah, stats doesn't say everything. Lotus is still one of the top mid laners of the league, and Lolo is also very consistent. Is roaming a lot. There you see that he has 71% kill participation. That means he's roaming a lot, he's creating these kills and everything, and his karma is also pick or banned. Therefore, I think this will be the focus for today.
Yes, very important players, and we will see with the next two that will be showing that there is another probably highly contested pick, because it is a very strong flex pick for both teams. Frashtana, I'll leave you the honors of presenting to us the AD carries of both teams.
Of course, it's Beavis and the real MJ, and actually both kinda the same, because they play both the Tristana, but I would say the real MJ, especially now in the playoffs with the Jinx focus, he is rather this late game hyper carry for the team, while Beavers, especially with his Draven and with his Kalista, for example, he is more like an aggressive ADC player, where you can play for him in the early stages. Especially, I remember one game where he got his Draven and just smashed it versus the Rift loss. I think it was in the tiebreaker game or something. So really incredible ADC there. But real MJ, you shouldn't underestimate him. If he gets his Jinx, he's always a win condition for his team. So definitely two player who differ a little bit, because one is more aggressive, one is more late game scaling focus. And I think that's really interesting to see that those two teams have kind of like a different type of ADC here.
And of course, you cannot talk about AD carries without mentioning their supports. And along the top lane, I think that's where we see the most diversity between the two players of each team. QG, I leave the supports up to you.
Yeah, Edward and Emil, you see their champion pool is very different. Edward plays more the enchanters, and Emil more the tanks and engages with his fiddlestick, who was also Frashtana said it on Wednesday behind the scene. Yeah, he said it on Wednesday that his fiddlestick is amazing. He has a lot of lane pressure. He has a lot of engage with it. He solo kills top laners and mid laners with the fiddlestick. So you have to really focus Emil that he doesn't get these engage champions. But this will be very close, and he's also one of the kill enablers of Reapers.
Yes, absolutely. With those very high kill participations on both sides, they're very important players for both teams. Now, QG, you said earlier that, in your opinion, the mid lane matchup would be one of the most interesting ones, if not the most interesting in this matchup. I want to ask you, Frashtana, what's your opinion on this?
Definitely. I think the mid lane, especially for Reapers, is the lane you want to play around. Lola is just such a phenomenal player. And he is always like the backbone in the late game team fights with the scaling picks, with the Tristana, the Cassio, the Ryze. Or he is the guy you want to play around if he has the Karma, because then you can group up with him. He just let you survive in those team fights and stuff. So I think definitely Reapers plays a lot of pressure on Lola, because he's just one of their best players, definitely. And so this mid lane matchup really it's essential in this game and in those upcoming games. So I really want to see that Lotus steps up, maybe even overcomes Lola, because I think Lola is slightly better, and now Lotus can definitely show us all that he is like the king in the mid lane of the second division, and I'm really hyped about this focused matchup, in my opinion.
And we have some very interesting mechanics that we're gonna already see in Champ Select in terms of picking and banning, because both teams have various champions that are highly contested between themselves. We have notably the Rice pick, which was like hammer banned on Wednesday until he wasn't, and yeah, okay, it's already there. There is a Rice ban. So there's the Rise, there's Karma, which is also pretty important. The Tristana. Are there any other bans that you expect to see here, Tristana?
Yeah, I think they definitely like the Rise, the Cannon, the Traven. I think we will see a Wukong ban against Garbush. And then the question becomes, what do you want to ban next? Because Olaf is still open. The Karma, of course, is still open. So I would ban out one of them, probably the Olaf or AOMA. And then the big question becomes, do you want to ban out Wukong, the Wukong from Garbush, the Zac from Garbush? Because they both share this champion pool with Wukong and with Zac. So they could just shake their hands and just take one of them each. And we actually have the Fiddlesticks respect there coming out for AOMA. They don't want to play against it, which means Karma is open and Olaf is open, and you could go for Karma first pick on AOMA's side. But I think Reapers definitely will go for the Olaf here, probably, if it's open. And then the big question is the jungle pool, because we didn't have a single jungler banned right now. Probably the Wukong in the end, because it's always a good first pick. There it is. So maybe the Karma now. But let's see. If Karma isn't being taken now, I definitely see that Reapers might go for Karma Olaf or something. But let's see what they decide now.
So we have this first banning phase that finished up with some bans that we were definitely expecting, and I already see an expression of skepticism. But we have a Gragas pick. Now Gragas, I believe, was also banned quite a few times. He's kind of come up lately here in the second division. I mean, can be a terrific force of nature when unhandled. However, I have to say I'm a bit surprised to see it in AOMA's hands here.
Yeah, I mean, Gragas usually works a lot for disengage, for engage, but also for chaos. And I think like bringing chaos in the team fight of Reapers helps, because like we saw them struggling in the regular season, and I think that was a big part why they just make it as fourth place, because they kind of struggle a little bit as a team, and with such a chaos pick, and of course. Mark as phenomenal Kragas player. I think he even boloed some games against Wind on his Kragas, just because he played this matchup really fine. Was incredible. So I think it's a good flex pick, and it's a good pickup to bring just some chaos in.
As and on the other hand, for Reapers, we have this infamous Zac pick, kind of, because Zac was banned Wednesday throughout. Solid pick for Trinket, and we have the real MJ's Xayah, which is his most picked champions. So also definitely pretty off on a good start here. We pick up the Jinx on sides of AOMA Esports. Some nice hyper carry action we'll be seeing there. We're now hovering for our last pick. Hugie, what's your take? What are Reapers gonna pick afterwards? And maybe what is AOMA gonna pick now?
They probably go for support here. It's the normal stuff you do on the first pick, or they go for the Karma flex pick. But yeah, support is the normally thing that you do in a. It's pretty standard. You take jungle and bot side to secure, because you don't want to get counter picked. You want to be the counter pick on red side, so you want to leave one solo lane for the last one. And you probably pick a flex pick with the Karma, so you can still go for another pick.
Yeah, either for the support, the mid lane, plus in this case they do take the Karma away from AOMA as well, because it's always a solid pickup currently. And I mean, we know Reapers and Karma, right? It's not an unknown factor to us. It's something they're pretty solid on, something they're comfortable on as well.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised that Reapers didn't stick with the Jinx, because I mean, they picked the Xayah, so that it's totally planned for them, because they could have just picked up Jinx. And I think Jinx would be in a little bit better together with the Karma, especially you need a hyper carry with Karma midlane, for example. So kind of surprised. So they definitely had something up their sleeves for this draft. I really like that. And now in the bands, yeah, GG.
Yeah, maybe they thought that they want to give Edward the Rakan because his three first picks are actually enchanters and not engagers. So maybe that was also the plan, so you can trick it with a Xayah pick to trick your enemy into picking Rakan. Maybe they wanted to go with that. That would be actually a big brain move sometimes. But yeah, we see Tristana is out, Olaf is out too against Wind. Fiora and Talia are also gone. And then now we see what MJ will pick, probably a mid laner here. We still have some order support.
Yeah, I think top lane probably, just because you still have the flex pick with Karma. And because you probably see Mark on Kragas already, so you would just want to probably go into still your flex pick opportunities. And I mean, they still banned out the Tristana, so they might think that Lawlor goes for something else than Karma. I definitely would probably place him on the Karma if they have a really good pickup for their support. And like there are some good picks for him still. I remember like some Blitzcrank games from Emuel, so maybe we see something like that they just want to trick us, or maybe even Cassiopeia is still up, so they might trick us with the Karma. I think they did it once actually in our last series, so we might not see Lawlor's Karma, instead just a hyper carry for him. And especially with this blind pick Veigar, probably if he really locks that in, that could be vulnerable to some assassins, to some champions who can just jump over his cage and just kill him. So we might see something like that, or just a support.
Yeah, also for the follow-up engage of Zac here, well could really help of that with the engage to secure the knockup, but they decide for the LeBlanc. Yes.
So they do go for an assassin in order to try and catch that Veigar quite, or rather more easily. Use that flex pick to its fullest extent. But so did AOMA, because their Gragas is going to the jungle in the end, so they were able to bait Wind's pick out and pick a Shen against it. What's your opinion on that, Tristana?
Yeah, I think it should be a fine matchup on the top lane. It's definitely not winning for Shen, but he will survive. He has a really good pickup for his team, together with Rakan if he wants to go in, or just to save his two hyper carries, because they are really scaling well. And it's actually surprising for Reapers to not have the scaling team comp. I mean, normally we saw them on Jinx, Ryze, and Casio and stuff. And now they more drafted for Darius, LeBlanc, Xayah, so it's not like the hyper scaling we saw in the other playoffs games. So AOMA definitely outscales them, and having a Shen in the late game just to peel your Jinx and your Veigar is definitely a good pickup.
Yeah, but if Wind wins the lane, the Darius can also just steamroll with the Karma, with the Shurelias to just run you down, and then you have to take care of that. I think the Darius is also scary if he comes good out of the lane, and normally he does. He has against Chen, the matchup is not that easy, as you said, because the passive is with the dodge shield is pretty hard to put on, and also with the Gragas in the jungle, it's also CC heavy, also magic damage heavy on the AOMA side. Therefore, Jinx doesn't need to build an LDR. But it also depends how these AP champs are going to get fed or not, and then you can just run it down as a Jinx.
I think we have some very interesting things going on, because on one side AOMA does have two pretty strong carries. We have the Jinx that, if she is able to get into the game, can easily carry a game, but the same can be applied to Veigar. On the other hand, Reapers, they will be putting a lot of pressure for that on the real MJ Xayah pick. However, they do have that LeBlanc, which can do wonderful work against champions like a Vega or a Jinx to quickly take them out. So they kind of took two birds with one stone by picking this LeBlanc, which is very nice. Now, before we really get to the game, I will ask either of you guys, who, in your opinion, won this champ select? And let's start with you, Freshtana.
Oh, it's really crazy to predict that, just because it's such a different playstyle now from the Reapers. So they definitely prepared something. I would rather play the draft of AOMA, I would say. So I would give the draft to them, but Reapers definitely not out of this game.
And you, QG?
Yeah, I think the AOMA comp is easier to play. You really see what you want to do. You want to engage with the Rakan, follow up with the Shen and Gragas, and then just burst them with the scaling of Veigar and Jinx. But it's not easy to burst a Xayah if she has ult up. Therefore, gonna be interesting. But I think AOMA has the better comp. They have more, I always talk about the go button. They have more go button champions than Reapers do.
Full go button potential for AOMA then, and we'll see if that will work out for them against the great Reaper, which are currently on a pretty strong killing streak going into this finals. We'll see whoever comes out on top, and the action has already kind of started here on the Summoner's Rift as Gabush is kind of catched, starting to get some nice damage in from Reapers, which flash behind him to hook him and secure first blood for Wind.
Yeah, and that's so dangerous. I mean, Wind is such a good carry for Reapers, and now giving him first blood, especially like in a good matchup, or it's not a bad matchup, to give him there some early gold definitely helps. And it feels so sad for the Shen right now. I mean, he did nothing wrong and already needs to play against the first blood Darius. It's really sad.
Yeah, Darius also started E, so the first level is... It's not that important, but in that mini matchup, the E is not that. So you can maybe just poke him out a bit, fight with the Shen Q. But yeah, it was. There is the lead that Darius needs that I was talking about. With the Ghost and the Karma, he's probably just going to run your AD carry down if you don't peel him too well.
So here we have the early level 2 aggression for a move bot lane, which take the opportunity to try and get some damage into Emil, but it kind of backfires here.
Yeah, and that's something you can always do with an engage support. I mean, they had level 2 before the Reaper's bot lane, and so they just got into it with the level advantage and got a good trade.
Yeah, and also the Rakan can trade pretty good in the early fights, skirmishes. With the shield, the healing, he just gives both of you, and then the Guardian just blocks enough damage. So it's gonna be interesting. Also the bot matchup.
And we have already quite a lot of action going on. We have the top lane which keep on hitting on each other in a purely platonic way, while Kabush had already a pretty early gank set up. However, Lolo was able to disarm that pretty quickly. So both teams seem to be trying to already set a pretty early pace for this first game.
Yeah, and there's one thing in this Shen versus Darius matchup. The Shen can always try to dash into the Darius when he queues, because then you are in the inner circle of the queue, so you don't take the blood and you don't take the damage. But that's always a dangerous game, because if you are too close to Darius, he can of course auto attack you and try to run you down. So it's like playing a dangerous game to dash into him. But it's always a thing to keep in mind. Or you can just try to dash after you got hooked. So your dash is really essential in this matchup to either dodge the all-in or to maybe go for an all-in at the perfect timing.
Yeah,
Here we can already see the damage of LeBlanc on such a Vega. Picking up a kill, however, dying to the turret hits, and Gabush coming in time to finish him off as well. As now Emil might be in danger here as Edward rotated towards. Nice flash from Emil, dodging the stun and going back to safety towards that mid lane.
Yeah, but we already see that both supports actually go for those roams, and I think that's definitely something a good support just knows when and where to roam, and that we see both on the same timing in the mid lane just already shows us that both teams try to play around their mid laner a little bit. And of course, like Isaiah is rather safe and your Jinx is always scaling, so you can try to leave her alone. And so we definitely see like that they try to play around Lore on both sides because they want to either punish him or to help him to get a lead.
Yeah, and to get a lead in both lanes is also important. You want to scale a bit faster if you have the lead with the Veigar, and you want to punish the scaling with the LeBlanc. So both supports are looking into the mid lane. Emil can defend better, and Edward just goes in and helps it with that. LeBlanc can just jump in and jump out. With the shield, she gets a little bit of help.
Yeah, we can see, I think that situation that was talked about earlier. The Shen can simply E into it. There we once again see Lolo's damage, already hitting level 6, meaning that Lotus will have to be careful for quite a bit now. And be wary of that burst.
Yeah, and that's what I talked about in the gem select, that blind picking Veigar is always like dangerous because you could be counter picked, and I mean there are plenty of good counter picks like a Fizz, for example, like a Kassadin, just something which can dash in, dash out. And with LeBlanc, I think the dash in is like a real dash, so she could get stunned in like his cage. But I think the dash out, if she reactivates it, that should be a blink. So every time she jumps in and he tries to cage her, she can always just get out. So that should be a rather good matchup for her.
And can we appreciate how well Reapers just organized themselves or played their lanes both on mid and bottom in order to get that Drake? I mean, they both had priority, and this Drake was so free for them right now.
Yeah, and Reapers now took the first dragon on the mountain, and oh, there maybe was yeah. But if you play the Frostana, I don't know the math here, but is it worth for Vega to go for the you know, this scaling MR item that goes into the Banshees just to have an easier lane and to just get out?
I think that could be at least an idea, just because you play against AP jungle and AP support. So just having some MR against the AP assassin as well definitely helps in surviving the lane. And Veigar shouldn't like think too much about that's just a bad damage item, because he gets free damage with every single stack. So he can definitely build a little bit tankier. So of course he could try to do that, and especially later against the hook or against like the first Q from or the jump from Zac, the Banshees of course will help as well. So yeah, I think on just my math skills, I would say that would be a good buy if he wants to go for it.
I was thinking about it because nice from MJ.
Yeah, we can see how strong that Xayah ultimate is just to keep us safe. So close. Very nice reaction, though.
Yeah.
Oh, and here we have Lolo coming in, picking up a kill on Gabush. Like it's nothing.
That is the power of the LeBlanc. Just
yeah,
see popping off.
I mean, they used 4 people to go to bot lane, and Re-Enjay didn't even use flash or heal. He just survived against 4 people with only usage of his ult. So really, really well played. And then they even tried to punish this rotation with the LeBlanc. So just really incredible played from him.
Oh,
Here we have the fight on the top lane. They decide to go. Flash Wind is sure to get that kill as Trinket is coming in, helping him to confirm it. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, we also have a situation as Bowie is starting to get real low, forced to flash away. The Ignite is still ticking. The real MJ does try to go for it, but he is able to make it to safety.
Yeah, really, really well played. It was important to give this Darius a little more of a lead, because he struggled to get like a lead from himself. He was even on one point out-farmed from the Shen, but now, especially with the second kill, I think this lane should be really free for him. Both use the flash, and when Ghost is up again, he can probably just run him down again. So Mark really needs to play a little bit more safe now with this really big leads there for Wind.
Yeah, and AOMA also lost they lost both on both sides. They lost in summoners and they lost in the engage overall. MJ didn't need to flash or heal, and Beerus had to do both things. So on the AD carry side, it's for the next gang, it's probably better. And we see.
And here we have Trinket going in for an invade as they already deal quite a bit of damage on Gabush, who is still hanging in there with his ultimate, is going to be able to maybe flee. Flashes away as Trinket tries to go for the kill and keeps on pushing, but he is able to flee.
Yeah, I mean, nobody died there, just some flashes, especially for both junglers. I think it's a little bit better for Garbush to trade flash for flash, just because he has this easier dash at least. I think it needs to kind of like use his dash like he needs to channel it. So Garbush's dash is a little bit more easy. So I think it's a worth trade anyway. But we already see that at Wind and Lawler, so the both more or less star players of this team are already ahead in like kills. So that looks really, really good at the moment for the Reapers.
Yeah, and there you see preparing a dive, maybe? No, it's not a dive, but they want to secure the Infernal Drake on the bot side, so they are going to ward up. Gabosh is just looking. Trinket already backed. The Rift Tower could come in play on the mid lane probably here, just to give some gold and take the attention on that side. And
yes, they seem to be starting to take the first step here towards securing that Drake. However, Reapers did have this very nice timing in terms of backup. They now can move with 3 people towards that mid lane, maybe prop down that Herald, as you said, while AOMA is backing just now. And I think Trinket has already started it off. We have Emil on the mid lane, and they seem to be trying to keep Lotus busy there, as he's the only one who really could build up some pressure there, but that's already secured. They should be getting the second Drake without too many issues.
Yeah, I think that's really important for Reapers, just because they probably getting outscaled with their team comp, so just having the Drake win condition definitely...
Oh, very nice exploding cask here from Gabush as he interrupts the blast cone that Wind wanted to use to flee, and secures a kill for Mac as a super mega death rocket comes over to maybe get it, but comes a bit too late.
Really important because of the shutdown. I mean, it's so important to help out your top laner in such a situation, and they just punished the overstatement from Wind.
Yeah, the interruption here from Gabosh was very nice played. Wind also used the Ghost to maybe run away, but it wasn't an option. The damage was too high, and actually, yes, it cost him maybe a bit of the lead. Shen can come back with it.
Here we have Gabush coming into the bot lane, however, does not really find a way to properly engage, but they do interrupt that push that Reapers was on. However, bot lane turret left at one plating now. Lola had a bit of a skirmish with Lotus, but is able to flee in time.
Yeah, I think we already see that Lola is just a little bit at least struggling with this cage. I think one reason for that is that he isn't like the LeBlanc main, I would say. We saw him a lot of those scaling picks and stuff, and he never really played this LeBlanc in the league at least. So I think he played a really good laning phase right now, but after that he at least struggles a little bit to find those catches as LeBlanc, and especially now with the Rod of Ages stacking and stuff, the Swaiger isn't like too easy to burst in the end. And then there's of course always a Shen shield and Rakan shield, so this LeBlanc really needs to get fat to really one-shot someone.
Yeah, but she soon has the Ludens finished, and also 2 stacks on the Dog Seal, so she's still ahead a bit. And then you can... gank.
Oh, Trinket coming into the mid lane. The stun does not find purchase, but with the Q, we get Lotus back in there as Emil is just there in time to get some damage out. Will the Ignite suffice? Unfortunately, no, but they force him to back here and use his ultimate, as now the situation turns around and AOMA catch Emil in the river with the exploding cast. They are able to keep him there a little longer as Edward picks up the kill.
Yeah, and they tried to catch the Veigar, but in the end the Veigar is way too tanky at the moment with the Rod of Ages. That's what I said with the burst. It's not that easy, especially because Trinket missed his stun.
They just seem as... Yes, I was confused for a bit there, but real MJ can just keep on attacking Mac once everything is on cooldown.
Yeah, and now AOMA gets this Herald.
Yeah, just off the pick on the Karma. And also the room with them on top. They had prior on both plays here, and yeah, they just come top maybe to get the top tower. But you will also see Trinket and Emil here. And then they both just disengage. Go back to farming.
Yeah, and then Drake is soon up as well, and 1 minute 30. So at least the supports should try to start working for the Vision, for example. So we probably see some rotations at least to this river. Because now it's important to set it up and probably go for the Drake later.
Might see a tower dive here on the top lane, or they just pick up the turret. They have the hook that goes through, but Mac deals quite a lot of damage. Wind was already pretty low with the bounce to get some damage out, but Gabush is coming in here, and he flashes in even to get the damage out. Exploding cast is dodged, and now it's Trinket who has to be very careful as Lotus comes in. He should be able to pick up the kill on Lolo, who is already very low. We pick up the kill on Wind as well, and now Lolo is also shut down for Lotus, and that's 3 kills in once going to AOMA. As meanwhile, on the bot lane, Emil and Real MJ should be picking up those who had too many issues.
Yeah, they just can't burst them down again. It was like with the LeBlanc, now it's the Darius who can't burst them down. And if you take too long in those fights, then the shields from Shen, the healings from Kragas, they are just too much to really take those kills. And I think we clearly saw why Mac wanted to play this Shen against the Darius, because if he hits him with the taunt and with the Qs, he can definitely trade back and even win the 1v1. So incredibly well played from Mac.
Yes, and albeit they just had this pretty strong play, Reapers is able to stay ahead in CS. They picked up 2 turrets in the meantime, which is already off to a good start, liberating top and bot lane of that first layer of turrets. And they seem to be going for the 3rd Drake, which would be Soul Point now. However, AOMA does have a response as they put down Heralds to the mid lane and start rotating towards that Drake. Lolo tries to find Lotus here, but gets taunted away. We pick up the Drake from Gabush with a wonderful smite. However, he will die in that. But what's the death against the Drake? However, if Lolo is able to find some damage here on Mac, they keep on going on him, get some damage out, pick up that kill. Shouldn't be too hard, but we can see he is already so tanky. They have a hard time finishing it off. They need all of their people to take him down.
And with 2 kills for the Drake, it's still worth it, especially because they are the scaling team, so just getting more time on the Soul definitely helps them to outscale the Reapers. But 2 kills now for Reapers, and with that, of course, this mid lane pressure, it's kinda worth it for them at the moment, but they at least delayed the Dragon Soul for the Reapers.
And also, I think that the Soul, not the Soul, but the Dragon effects for AOMA are really good. the shielding from...
Here we find maybe the counter kills here. Asgabish picks up some Reapers, people in his jungle. Wind is already reload, gets finished by Bowies, and they keep on going, putting the pressure on the real MJ, who has to use the Feather Storm and flashes over the wall to safety. Over Trinket is still in kind of a dangerous position, and so is Lolo here, being sussed out by Mac, and is between Edward and Mac. And yes, dodges the knock-up, which should be able to make him flee. Yes, without too many issues, and so does Trinket.
So they just lose Wind for basically nothing, which was a good engage from AOMA, but the rest of the Reapers survived this little skirmish.
Yes, and we keep the gold difference to 2k, which is actually really good for AOMA, because they just need to temporize a little more before they really get into it, and as long as this gold difference stagnates, you're not doing something wrong, because the enemy is not getting further ahead. And here we already have the gold differences on the different lanes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you see
biggest split.
the LeBlanc is not that far ahead that they actually needed to. The Xayah is 2k ahead, and therefore the gold is 2k for the Reapers, 2k more, and that all sits all on MJ right now. And but Lotus is just farming up, and with these both defensive items and also very scale heavy ones, they are just yeah, oh my, the Veigar is just almost unkillable.
Yeah, he's kind of fully stacked. Just one more Word of Ages stack, then he will get a free level up, of course, as well. And after that, he is just stacking his little Q stacks. There you saw just 2 AP with one shot. It's always incredible. And yeah, I mean, he will be unkillable, especially if he gets peeled with the Shen, with the Rakan. And we already saw that Trinket and Lolo have a hard time to kill him. And this didn't change, and now he has even more health, more sustain, he gets the shield. So that could be quite a difficult task to kill Lotus.
Yeah, and there's still the Shen. You still have the Shen on the backup. So if you go low, you still have Muk to save you. With the Radiance Virtue, you get healed when the shield comes down. It will be hard for Lolo and MJ to survive the Veigar and kill him at the same time. And you still have the pressure from the Jinx and from the Gragas, so can just misplace you and just kill you.
Yeah,
That one. Just to bait and poke.
yeah, it's worth it, man. It's worth it. But especially you said it, like the Drake buff. The Drake buffs are really incredible for AOMA. Just all the shields, all the healings from their abilities just gets higher and higher. So that definitely helps to survive probably in some of those teamfights.
Yeah. What is it? 6% now? I think they maybe buffed it a while ago.
I thought it's 5, but
yeah, I think they buffed it, but I could be wrong. I know that the soul is 11%, and the
Yeah,
fight.
never mind. Drake is about to spawn, and so the tension is climbing here in the river as AOMA and Reapers are starting to settle around it, try to find a good opportunity to go into the enemy team or bait the dragon out onto the Reapers. Decide to pull him further out. We have Lolo doing the round and trying to come from behind. Here he finds a way to get to Lotus, pull them back, and it just keeps on going with this dance kind of around the Drake. Who is going to be the one to engage? Who is the one who's going to have to answer best? And AOMA go for the Drake as Lolo goes in onto Bowies, gets him mid-life. They just keep on going. They try to get the Drake. Trinket comes in now in the back line. Doesn't try to real purchase. Starts the bounce, and now it has started as we start to get some nice damage onto Mac finally. Now Trinket in the middle of it. We have Stand United that is falling, but Wind is the first to fall here in this team fight. But so is Bowies. That's already some damage less for AOMA. But as long as Lotus is standing, they should be good. But they start to get rough as the front line is starting to fall down. Mac now very low. Will have to try and survive. No, that's the double kill going to Trinket. We pull Edward back, but Edward and Lotus both really low. Have to start filling, but with the stun we might find some purchase. No, no, no. Amiel is keep on pushing. We have the E that goes, and with the Q we get the kill on Edward.
And Trinket still has passive. He didn't even die in the team fight. It's so crazy that his engage worked out. I mean, in the end, yeah, you lost some summoner spells. Lauder couldn't really kill someone there. The real MJ just survived.
Super
Oh my God!
for double kill going to Boris, and that's forcing Trinket to fall back a bit as Lotus is still around, but Lolo is there to help him finish up that Drake.
What a crazy death rocket.
No!
Oh, this did it!
Where? The smite was on cooldown, and Lotus picks up the second Drake for AOMA, and they are now 2-2 in terms of Drakes.
And that is Baron!
I mean, how sad is this?
Listen,
I mean,
using
Won the
this.
fight. But
Oh god.
they gamble too much.
Yes, and the gamble didn't work out as AOMA is now going for that Baron with Reapers on the back foot, having been forced to back, but Trinket is gonna go in with the rest of his team here. He comes into the pit, bounces up, but no, it's Lotus again, which confirms the Baron, and now Trinket is gonna prop the passive as his Reaper's gonna keep on trying to fight it. No, they should fall back as Trinket is finally shut down for AOMA. Things are starting to look real good now.
Yeah, and like, they are playing no teleports. So they can't really save Trinket if he is in the passive. Because they played with Ignite and with Ghost, I believe. So he couldn't steal it. He got it got stolen in the end of the Drake and the Baron, both from Lotus. So he plays an incredible League of Legends round right now. And like that looks really good for them. Now the all gold advantage is gone for the repass, and they don't scale that well. So they will just get outscaled and probably lose the game.
As we try to find purchase onto Mac now, which was alone on the bot lane. We get some nice damage out, but AOMA is just around the corner. We should be able to pick up the kill on the top laner of AOMA on sides of Reapers. Now with a TP coming in, it's 4 versus 3 on the bot lane, and Reapers are forced to back down. But I was gonna say, why need a smite when you have Lotus on Vega? You don't need a smite.
I think the Baron dropped to 1 HP. I don't know if you saw it, but I saw 1. So, if the Baron survived with 1 HP after Trinket Smite, that feels bad, man.
Definitely.
But
and the funny thing, I mean, we talked with the item builds about Veigar. He could go for some defensive items, but just look at him. He goes for full damage with the white stuff. It's crazy how this man will carry his team with those cages, with the damage, and
Look at this! They just take Amiel out in pieces, and real MJ now starting to get threatened here. He's forced to Feather Storm in order to not get catched, but Lotus keeps on pushing on them. I mean, he's really confident right now and going in with all of his might. While Lolo tries to find a way to get up on them, but gets sussed out.
they go for the turret. They try to get it, and with the help of the Scanning, they will get this first inhibitor probably in no time, and now can just go to the bot lane because they are still a tier 1 turret. They should definitely get it with the Baron buff. So lots of gold for them, even a small tiny gold lead now. So it's definitely over for the Reapers, and they need to do a lot of things to get back into this game.
yeah,
Yes,
this
and
is
Lolo
hard.
keeps on trying to find this situation where he can finally stop Lotus in his tracks, but I mean, he just survives. Look, he even takes some turret shots here.
He doesn't care. He just heats up with the Rod of Ages, or they just back.
The back is not interrupted. They can reset.
Yeah,
Drake coming.
yeah, the Drake in a minute, so it's gonna be preparation time for the supports. And then maybe go back to just restock your wards. And wow.
Yes, the whole dynamics of this game have changed. AOMA now with, well, they're on equal grounds of gold, let's say, which is definitely good for AOMA as they were 2k behind before. They're ahead in turrets and they have equalized in terms of drakes. And with that drake, AOMA could maybe get the soul point for that Camtech soul, which could be really great for them, as you've already mentioned quite a few times. So it's now or never for Reapers. This is a very important drake fight for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
no. Go ahead.
how you wanna kill the Vega with a Chemtech soul?
Just gets...
I think you just don't. So the soul point is really strong for AOMA here. And also if they get four Chemtech drakes.
And they are able to find a pitch first on the drake as Lola tries to go for a kill but gets catched. And that is the free soul point going to AOMA as Reapers 4v5 cannot even dare to challenge them.
And
now they have to be careful because they're split in two. AOMA could be taking them by surprise as Wind and Trinket were a bit far ahead without their team. But they seem to be able to flee without getting too much damage done. AOMA takes the opportunity to just keep on putting pressure on that mid lane in order to get closer to the Nexus. With it being open here, they can start attacking the turrets.
Are they trying to finish? The Vega doesn't even have a lot of ages and he deals so much damage. Sorry, the death cap. What do we have? Maybe a fight here? No. Gonna poke around. The cage goes down. Stun goes in. The poke goes out.
As the siege keeps on going, but now with 5 people back, Reapers can start doing their true front there and start pushing AOMA back with all the poke that has been happening. They have started to get low, but here is the final engage. Gabosh is in the middle of it. Trinket is in the backline. Boas has to be careful, go back to the side. Real MJ picks up the kill on Edward. Now it's Gabosh who is falling, and Reapers seem to be doing really well this fight. They now can go all in on Lotus, starting to finally get some damage, and they should be able to pick up the shutdown on him unless he flees with a beautiful flash.
And what a team fight there from the real MJ. I mean, he totally just chased them down, and in the end, he could just do all the damage in the world. Trinket got a good engage there as well. So really wonderfully played there from the Reapers, getting back, getting the Baron, and that for basically nothing. I mean, they just lost Lawlor. They didn't even lost a turret or something for that. So they just engaged at the right angle and with the right poke, and in the end, they got the Baron, and with that, again, a small gold lead for them.
How can this game shift from one fight to the other? There's no clear winner of these fights. Well, Lotus still survived. It would be crucial if he would die to MJ. It would be a 700 gold shutdown. But the stopwatch just saved Lotus there. But damn, MJ really came up in that fight.
And I think maybe we can see have the goal difference between the individual players before it gets back to some big team fight. We can see that the real MJ is still able to keep it up, but Boas now with last few fights has taken the lead. And however, the individual differences are starting to narrow down. We only have Wind, who is quite a bit ahead compared to Mark.
Yeah, it's of course because the farming is a little bit better on some of the lanes for the Reapers, especially on top lane 50 CS is something, or teleport defending Vines there on the side lane.
Oh yes, and the teleport is able to go through. They didn't suss it out early enough to interrupt it. However, turret is gonna fall in favor of the Reapers, which puts them again a bit ahead, and Wind just keeps on pushing with that Baron buff, while the rest of Reapers try to keep AOMA as busy as possible in the mid lane, start their own siege over there, but they don't really have a wave there, do they?
Not at the moment, at least. And Gabosh is waiting in the wings to maybe find a catch on the real MJ. But it's always difficult to do that because of the feathers, of course.
Yeah, and if Reapers want to fight 4v5, they could win. Do we see an engage?
And they are starting to look for it. Gabosh doesn't really keep hope on trying to find that catch. I mean, he has flash up exploding cask as well. So now is a good time to stop him in the tracks, keep that Baron away, because Wind just keeps on pushing that nail in on the top lane while the rest of Reapers just wave per wave try to get that turret. Lolo is also threatening them from the sides, because at any time he could jump on Boaz and get a load of damage in it. And he does take the opportunity now as they're pushing in that turret. They pick up tier 2 in the mid lane and they keep the siege going. Both Barons now this game being utilized really well from both teams.
Yeah, and just think about it. Drake is spawning in 30 seconds, so one of those teams definitely want the Baron for the soul, and the other one want the Baron, the Drake for their own soul point. So we probably see some rotation soon, or maybe a last stand effort here to defend Spirit.
As it would mean more money for the team for the next Drake. However, there will not be time to back forward, probably, as Reapers will have to transition their big push into getting the priority on this Drake.
Yeah, and they don't have TP on Wind, so they have to rotate or give up that one. But I don't think you want to give it up, so you have to do it fast and with pressure, and Wind is going to back. So they have to dance or finish it fast.
Yes, they're already pulling it out. AOMA is a tired, small... Ooh, almost stole it with the super mega death rocket, and as Bush went in to try and steal it, they do burst him out pretty quickly, and Reapers pick up Soul Point as well.
Yeah, it's so important for the Reapers to stay in this game, and now they are even 5k ahead. So from 2k to 0 to now 5 ahead, so it's definitely a back and forth with those two teams, and now they try to siege a little bit more. But with all 5 members, maybe even to dive.
Oh, Trinket does try to go for the engage here, picks up the nice AD carry. Boaz is exploding here, but Lotus on the side is still able to do some damage as Wind picks up, decides to go for him. He picks up the kill on Edvard, and now Lotus is all alone, and this time around they won't let him get away as they pick up the kill and the shutdown on him. Now finishing off that mid-inhib turret and that mid-inhib. They can keep the push going. Only 2 members on the sides of AOMA. They will have a rough time to defend this. Trinket just goes for the next engage. The stun hits, and now only Mac is left, and he's taking some nice damage, although he survives quite a bit. We pick up the first Nexus turret, the second dies in a matter of seconds, and the first game will be going to Reapers Gaming.
Wow. Reapers just played that fun. The end game, the end of this game was just really played from Reapers. It started from a fight up on the top side on the inhibitor, where AOMA lost their fight, and then MJ could just steamroll it. Wind, really important here again, as Freshtana said before. The Darius just split pushed everything in. The LeBlanc, who flanked over the wall, poked a bit on Bewis here, and Lotus couldn't do anything because it was the last one and it didn't pan out. Impressive.
Yes, Reapers were able in the end to converge their early lead into a win, although it did look quite good for AOMA around the mid-game where they started to catch up a bit. However, were not able to finish it off properly, and that's Reapers taking a first win in this best of 5 series in the finals of the 2nd division of the Elite Series League of Legends. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we head over to the second game, I'd say we'll take a small break in order to get the lobby set up, catch a breather, because wow, that was a quite intense game with a lot of dancing around. So yeah, I'd say we'll see you in just a bit. See you soon.